finally something going on in the Department of Justice. Finally, Pamela Bondi is starting to show some results in her ability to be the Attorney General, for fuck's sakes, man. So here it goes. Justice in America. One of the worst human beings in the country has ever been exposed to is James Comey, the former corrupt head of the FBI. Today, he was indicted by a grand jury on 2 felony counts for various illegal and unlawful acts. He has been so bad for the country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes against our nation. Make America great again. And damn, is it about time. Remember his daughter, she was in charge of prosecuting Sean Diddy Combs earlier this year, and she completely fumbled around and fucked that up all up and down now, didn't she? She really, really fucked that up. Because I don't think he's going to get more than just a couple of years in prison. In fact, I don't even know if that even amounted to prostitution, even though the jury, they deemed it as such. But anyway, whatever. I just wanted to point out the fact that James Comey's daughter, she was recently in the news, and that's why. So we'll just have to see what happens. So I don't have a whole lot of information. This just came out. So I did ask Grok to see if there's any info, anything coming from the mainstream news media that it might be able to piece together. And it did. It came up with some info here. So, breaking news, former FBI Director James Comey indicted on September 25th, 2025. Today, a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia indicted James B. Comey, former FBI Director, on 2 felony counts, making false statements to Congress and obstruction of justice. The charges stem primarily from Comey's September 30th, 2020 testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he allegedly lied about authorizing leaks of sensitive information to the media, including memos that sparked the Mueller investigation into Russian election interference. Prosecutors also allege he obstructed a congressional probe into the disclosure of classified details. U.S. Attorney General Pamela Bondi issued a statement emphasizing accountability, quote, "No one is above the law." Today's indictment reflects this Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people, end quote. The timing follows recent public demands from President Donald Trump for swift action against Comey and other perceived political adversaries. I bet that Shifty Schiff, Adam Schiff, I bet he's feeling a little hot under the collar today, isn't he? I bet he's looking over his shoulder everywhere he goes today. Well, from now on, at least, because indictments are hopefully going to be coming down on his ass, too. And if there's anybody who deserves it more than James Comey, I would say it's probably fucking Shitty Schiff. So here's the indictments here. Key details from the indictment. The charge making false statement, 18 U.S.C. Section 1001. The description is allegedly lying under oath about authorizing Person 3, who is likely former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, to leak information to the media. And relevant content tied to 2020 Senate hearing questioning by Senator Ted Cruz. Oh, ain't that satisfying to be Senator Ted Cruz tonight. The second one is obstruction of justice. Let's see, 18 U.S.C. Section 1512, interfering with a congressional investigation into FBI leaks of sensitive information linked to the Russia hoax narrative and Comey's post-firing actions, including the 8647 social media post interpreted as a threat. You remember that when he wrote that? Or he either wrote it in the sand when he was at the beach, or he formed it out of seashells or something like that. But yeah, so let's see. Anyway, so Comey, who was fired by Trump in 2017, has long been a target of criticism from Trump allies over his handling of the Hillary Clinton email probe and the Russia investigation. No arrest warrant has been issued yet, and Comey is expected to surrender voluntarily for arraignment. The case is being handled by federal prosecutors in Virginia, with FBI Director Kash Patel also commenting on the DOJ's pursuit of accountability. Reactions on X, formerly Twitter, are polarized, with Trump supporters celebrating it as long overdue justice against the deep state, while critics question the political motivations behind the rapid timeline. It wasn't a rapid timeline. This has been months in the making. Actually, years in the making, really. Live coverage is ongoing across major networks, including NBC and PBS. Yeah, when they say that this is a rapid timeline, look, they're talking about... Wait, hold on. Okay, no, never mind. Yeah, he was fired by Trump in 2017. But look at this. Like, the relevant context is from way back in 2020, dude. Fucking 5 years ago. How the hell is this? Is it a rushed job or anything like that? I know what they're doing. They're making a mention of what Trump's True Social post said the other day, where he was... getting angry, feisty toward AG Pam Bondi, with regard to all of these people, man, these left-wing actors, these anti-Trump actors who we know broke the law because it's all on the record, and nothing's happening. And Trump was simply asking, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on with this? And I just think it must have been maybe good timing, poor timing, depending on how you look at it. Because I'm sure that the grand jury, it was a grand jury indictment, right? I'm pretty sure they said that. Yeah, federal grand jury. So I'm assuming she didn't convene the grand jury after Trump got mad at her through a Truth Social post. I would assume that this grand jury was probably scheduled to convene probably weeks, months in advance, maybe. Probably not months in advance. I mean, usually a grand jury, they don't schedule it months ahead. Usually a few weeks, I would say. At least from what I can say locally. I've never been on a federal grand jury, but I've been on the grand jury with the 6th Judicial Circuit in the state of Florida, and I spent 7 months on the grand jury, seeing all kinds of different, a whole bunch of different cases. I think probably, 10, 12 different cases that I saw in total, handed down 17 indictments for murder in total. So I'm aware of the process of the grand jury, just not on the federal level. But if it's anything like the more local level, then yeah, like they usually convene the grand jury within a couple of weeks, I would say, in most cases. Usually about a month, something like that. But anyway, so let me see if there's anything else here. This development marks a significant escalation in post-2024 election accountability efforts. For the latest updates, check official DOJ announcements or major news outlets. Now, they said something was mentioned by Kash Patel. I'm just curious to see if they might have that on here. If not, that's fine. I did see the actual indictment up here. Here it is. So this is from Greg Price in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Virginia. Man, dude, they get this shit quick now, don't they? Stamped September 25th, 2025 by the clerk of the U.S. District Court in Alexandria, Virginia. Criminal number 1:25-CR-272. Let's see. Count 1. False statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the United States government. 18 U.S.C. 1001, Section A, subsection 2 or Section 2, A2. Count 2, obstruction of a congressional proceeding, 18 U.S.C. Section 1505. The indictment with Count 1, false statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the United States government. On or about September 30th of 2020 in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant James B. Comey Jr. did willfully and knowingly make a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement in a matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the government of the United States by falsely stating to a U.S. Senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James B. Comey Jr., had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning Person 1. And number 2, that statement was false because, as James B. Comey Jr. then and there knew, he fact had authorized Person 3 to serve as an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning Person 1. All in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1001A2. We've got, all right, so this is going to be count 2. On or about September 30th of 2020 in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant James B. Comey Jr. did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, and impede the due and proper exercise of the power of inquiry under which an investigation was being had before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making false and misleading statements before that committee. All in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1505. A true Bill Lindsay Halligan, United States Attorney, signed the document. Now, one thing that might frustrate you, if let's say that he's going to go on trial. I mean, they just indicted him, so he's heading to trial at some point. So when this happens, of course, it's probably not going to be televised. So I wouldn't get your hopes up with that. This is all federal, and they virtually never let cameras into the courtroom when all this is going down. Remember back to the Diddy trial? Remember that? All those sketches and all that shit. That's what we're going to be getting. Anyway. Let's say that he's found guilty. Let's say he goes to prison for, I don't even know like what a good number would be. Let's say 5 years or something, or maybe 10 years or whatever. That's probably like way over the mark. But if he gets 5 years, and let's say, God forbid, that there's a Democrat who becomes president next, on his first day in office, he could pardon him right away and just let him out. See, that's the problem whenever you've got federal government officials especially those who are just deeply entrenched in the establishment fucking swamp, and they rub shoulders with all the right people. And let's say that they do something egregious and they get locked up for 50 years. It might look politically bad, but it all just depends on whose side they're on. I mean, James Comey, I'm sure he's been a lifelong Democrat. I don't know. I'm just assuming that to be the case. And if they were to lock him up for like 20 years or something like that, all it would take would be a presidential pardon. And I'm sure that there's lots of people in D.C. who are probably under that understanding. Look, if you get caught, we got you. We got your back. Whenever, our next guy gets in, we'll pardon you right away. You might have to spend a few years behind bars, but not the rest of your life, because we'll get you pardoned. And that's the part of the whole corrupt machine, I guess.